Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the upcoming temperature pattern as well as some upcoming snow chances as well. We might even take a little bit of a peek into January. Now, first off, I want to wish you guys a Merry Christmas. It is Christmas today, the time I'm making this video. I hope all of you have just the most wonderful day. I'd also ask that you check out our very exciting store and then also our very exciting Patreon page in the description and the pinned comment down below. Anyway, for today's comment of the day, I want to know, out of the two final winter months, so January and February, which one do you think is going to be the snowiest and the coldest? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll be picking one of those for tomorrow's video. Let's get right into things, and first things first, just to show you guys the contrast of the whole pattern, I want to go a little bit back towards yesterday, and yesterday was very warm along the eastern seaboard. But you could see that cold front approaching. That whole nasty storm is completely out of here. I know it was very windy for many regions, more snow than expected for certain regions, and that severe weather was pretty nasty. We had 2 confirmed tornadoes yesterday in that severe weather, unfortunately. Yeah, so a very serious situation. And that's what happens when these temperature patterns set up this extreme. But by the time we reach 1 p.m. today on Christmas Day, you might even be watching by this point, very cold temperatures will be in the southeastern United States, very widespread. As I'm speaking, it's 5:56 a.m. and it's still a little bit warm here in Virginia. The cold front hasn't fully passed through yet, but by 12 p.m. Or 1, it will be fully here by that point. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to move on towards the day after Christmas, the 26th, and we're going to take a look at what the temperature pattern will look by that point, and we're going to just continue in the same fashion towards the future. All right, now here we are at the day after Christmas. Like I said, warm temperatures there for the central United States, but the eastern seaboard, especially the southeast, they're dealing with some pretty bitter cold. So throughout the day on Christmas today and then Saturday, it's going to be pretty cold here for the southeast for the most part. And by the time we reach about, I would say 7 p.m. here on the 27th, which is going to be Sunday, we're still seeing the southeast hold on to that cold, but there is warmth coming and it's on the way by this point. Let's just take it to about 7 p.m. on the 28th now, and as you can see, the warm-up has now arrived for the eastern seaboard along that Gulf Coast as well, but there's another cool down on the way. It's up there for the upper Midwest, the Great Lakes, and the Ohio Valley. We're going to see that move in. By the time we reach about 1 p.m. on the 29th, you can see that the Mid-Atlantic and the Northeast have cooled down now. So we're going to be all over the place. We're going to see this flip-flop pattern develop throughout the rest of December, and this is going to allow for the potential for many snowstorms throughout the next few weeks, I would say. With these kind of bitter cold systems moving through, we likely see snow systems moving along these, and this is what creates snow this time of year typically. Now, what we're going to do is we are going to move on. We're going to move on towards the afternoon hour of the 30th, where we're going to see a little bit of another warm-up move through, and then we're going to move into January, where we're going to see many more cool-downs move through as well. And then we're going to start taking a look at some of those upcoming snow chances as well over the next 2 weeks. And then we're maybe even going to dabble a little bit into later in January. So here we are taking a look at about 1 p.m. on Wednesday the 30th, and as you can see, there is a little bit of cold set up there over the Carolinas and Virginia. Don't know what all that's about, but for the most part, the eastern half here is warm. The western half is a bit colder on this specific date. Overall, the next 5 days or 6 days that we have left of December are going to be cold in the east primarily. But there will be some warm-ups, obviously, for a couple of those days within that time frame. So we're going to take a look at the teleconnections later on in the video, and I'll be able to explain a little bit better about what's going on overall. But really, those teleconnections are looking ripe for cold and snow in the east. We'll talk about that a little later, like I said. Now, let's just go ahead and take it to about 7 p.m. there on the 31st. So this is going to be like, New Year's Eve here, just the nighttime. And really, it's quite warm along the eastern seaboard. This is kind of reminding me of what Christmas Eve was like. So New Year's Eve is going to be very similar to Christmas Eve. We do have a little bit of a cool down moving in behind it, but not as potent as we've seen throughout the day today. So I don't expect some sort of huge severe weather event or anything, or a massive storm like we had throughout the night last night. I don't expect that to occur again. It's possible, obviously, but I'm just not anticipating that fully. Let's take it to about 1 p.m. on Sunday, January 3rd here, and as you can see, we will slowly but surely see a cooldown move into the eastern United States. The thing is here, we're using an ensemble model, so we start to see it really average out. If you look at the normal European model or perhaps the GFS model, I'm sure it's really flip-flopping all over the place. This ensemble model is really playing it safe. We see multiple models contributing to what we're seeing on the screen here, and it all gets combined together. So take this with a grain of salt. This is a very conservative estimate, but it is expecting during the earlier portion of January for some cold to be around in the eastern half of the United States. And really, as we move towards about 1 a.m. on Tuesday here, that's going to be January 5th, it does see that cold last quite a while here as it's still around for the eastern United States. So overall, the European ensemble model does expect that first week of January to be colder overall for the eastern United States, with a few warmer days here over the next 10 days or 11 days or so. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move on and we're finally going to start taking a look at some of those snow chances that some of our models like the European and the GFS model have. And then we're going to, again, dapple a little bit into the earlier portion and maybe even the middle portion of January towards the end of this video. All right, now first things first, this is taking a look at about January 1st. We've been talking about the potential for some snowfall on this date for weeks now. And right now, what we're taking a look at is, as you can see for the East Coast, we see a cool down moving in. It's not fully there yet. There's a ridge along the East Coast, but that cool down is moving in. This is still 180 hours out. We have a low pressure system close to where that cool down is moving in. I think even though this model isn't showing a snowstorm now, that this is still the ingredients needed for a snowstorm. And with some smaller shifts, we could quite easily see this become more of a major snowstorm actually on this date with just some shifts around. And again, it's 180 hours out, so there's some high potential that we could see some changes here. Actually, we saw up to 5, 6, 7 inches of snow last night for a lot of regions like Tennessee, Kentucky, Ohio, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, areas like that. And the lake effect snow hasn't even fully occurred yet. And I kind of called that one similar to how I'm calling this one right now. It didn't appear to be really a snowstorm, but I anticipated that it would potentially shift around and could quite easily become a snowstorm. So this is the same fashion that I predicted that one. So it is possible, but it's not like more likely than not, obviously. I'm saying maybe like a 40% chance or a 50% chance of this shifting more towards a snowstorm. We will watch this one closely. Again, that's January 1st. This does eventually become quite a bit of a snowstorm here for New England as we move towards about, I would say, 7 a.m. on January 1st. As you can see here, we do see Vermont, Massachusetts, and upstate New York seeing snowfall. But again, it is still quite far out, so we don't want to pay too much attention to location or timing there. The fact of the matter is there's a storm and there's cold, and we will see what happens with that. Now, things get very interesting, and take this with a massive grain of salt. By about 7 p.m. on the 2nd, we see another storm system move through after that big cool down comes in. But this one's for the deep south here. As you can see, Arkansas, northern Mississippi, northern Alabama, southern Tennessee seeing heavy snowfall from a low pressure system there. And that eventually, as you can see, moves a little bit further east into areas like North Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia. So this is a southern slider. These are actually a quite common storm track, so I'm not saying it's impossible, but it is definitely on the more unlikely side here. So we're going to take this one with a grain of salt, but be on the lookout that with these larger cooldowns, we could see more southern areas see snowfall, depending on how big those cooldowns are. I do anticipate we could see some quite large ones there during the beginning half of January based on teleconnections at this point. And by the time we reach 2 p.m. on, this is going to be January 9th, Saturday, we do see another situation where there's not quite a snowstorm, but there is a storm system, there is a cooldown. This is 184 hours out, so you're going to want to take this with a giant grain of salt. The only real thing here that I'm showing you is that it is showing frequent chances at some snowstorms. So that's the reason I'm showing you that, not because it's even really has any chance of happening at all, that particular one. But there's going to be frequent chances here for the beginning portion because we have an active pattern coming up. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to take a look in just a moment at our European ensemble models 7-day outlooks for 2 weeks. First off, the 24th through the 31st, and then the 1st through the 8th. We're going to take a look at what those temperature patterns could look like. We're going to take a look at our teleconnections, and then we're even going to take a look at some 5-day increments there on our CFS model, and we're going to take that all the way to the end of January, actually. All right, so here we are taking a look at that first 7-day increment here on our European ensemble model. And this is for, again, the 24th through the 31st. I prepared these frames yesterday, actually, so that's why it goes back to the 24th. This isn't, from today. I am recording the audio on Christmas Day, but I prepared it last night. I wanted to get to a little bit of an earlier start this morning, obviously, because I'm going to be, needing to do stuff throughout the day today. So I prepared this beforehand. I don't know why I'm telling you all that, but that's just what it is. All right, so for the 24th through the 31st, we can see that there is going to be generally, for the most part, some more cooler air for the southeast, also the upper Midwest, and then also the west, and then for the south central, mostly the plains for the most part, going to be dealing with some warmer than normal conditions, and also the northeast. All right, but as we head towards the 1st through the 8th, it's a lot of the same. We see the southeast mostly with some cooler air, the plains also with some cooler air now though, and then also the west with some warmer in the northeast. It's actually the more south you go that we get more cold, which is kind of the opposite of a typical La Nina pattern. Very, very interesting pattern we find ourselves in. Here is our teleconnections, the AO. When this one's negative, you see a lot of cold coming into the United States. When it's positive, you see a lot of warmth coming into the United States. And as you can see, with the exception of today and tomorrow, basically it is going to be far negative for the first at least quarter of January there. It is going to be far, far negative here according to our European ensemble model. And then our NAO, and this really encourages cold air in the east, and it actually creates a lot of good blocking for good snowstorms in the eastern United States. When it's negative, it's positive until about the 27th, and then it's going to go again far negative just like the AO, and this is why I'm extremely confident we're going to have cold and snow opportunities throughout that first quarter of January at least, and the ending portion of December. And then our PNA, when this one is positive, we see colder than normal conditions in the eastern United States, and when it's negative, we see warmer than normal conditions in the United States. So this one is also going to be, for the most part, positive or at least neutral through about the 8th of January there. So on all cylinders, the teleconnections are looking great. Now quickly, let's take a look at some 5-day increments here on our CFS model, and this is the 5th through the 10th of January. It expects some colder than normal conditions for the eastern seaboard there, and then also it gets even colder here for the 11th through the 21st here. This is a 10-day increment for the eastern United States, so this is looking very cold and very just overall a really good pattern for snow. And then for the entirety of January, this is the 1st through the 31st, we see cold in the east, warm in the west. Do I think this will happen? For sure. I don't know, because I haven't made my official January forecast, and I'm going to be analyzing the entire month and making a very in-depth forecast there around the 1st of January. Be on the lookout for that, but for now, this is kind of my analysis of that upcoming month that we have for January. Anyway, for today's comment of the day, I asked you guys, what is a Christmas tradition that you guys have or your family that's kind of odd or unusual? And the Creek Kid said, on Christmas Eve, we have Chinese takeout for dinner. On Christmas Day, we have cinnamon rolls for breakfast. Those are two of my family's traditions. And that sounds like a lot of fun. I love Chinese food. I also love cinnamon rolls. I love food in general, but that's a really cool tradition there. Anyway, for today's Patron Highlight of the day, I want to thank you all for supporting the channel, and I want to wish all of you a Merry Christmas as well. But I especially want to thank our Platinum patrons, Sebastian Towle, John Ben Bennick, Justin Quantrell, James Wade, Dobie Nagel, Alan Belemo, Adam S., Larry the Pan, Donna Carnes, Cameron Marshall, and Aiden Mattis, alongside our Diamond patrons, Bill Roberts, Alan Sherry, Marcus Connolly, Noah Harley, Michael Codalessa, Michael Buell, Terry Curtis, Catbite, Charles Stinnett, Kellen Manhart, It's Jay, Cindy Klein, Alicia Davis, and Mark J. Thank you all for supporting the channel. If you would like to support the channel and end up on this Patreon end screen, you can do so by joining our very exciting Patreon page in the description and in the pinned comment down below. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to share it with your friends, family, and social media. I will see you guys in the next video, and have a Merry Christmas.